Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Starhawk, and we're delighted to see you here. Thank you for joining us. Uh, I am speaking to you tonight from the land of the Kishayapomo, land out here on the edge of the continent that has a long history of um, tending and caring for the land and community. People have lived here and tended this land for literally tens of thousands of years, and they are still very much here. And in recent years, they have gotten a big chunk of land back on the coast after many years of um, being kind of only having a 40-acre rancheria. They now have about 500 acres right on the coast, which gives them access once again to some of their traditional gathering and fishing grounds. And to me, that's a sign of hope, a sign that there are ways that we can turn around some of the terrible things that have happened. I think the history and the presence of Indigenous people is a living lesson to all of us on overcoming the hardships and the tragedies of genocide and colonization and keeping alive spirit, keeping alive culture and traditions through all of that. So it's my hope that the work that we do and the things that we teach can be in alignment with that work that's been done really on every land for tens of thousands of years. So if you want to put into the chat the indigenous people of the land that you're on, we invite you to do that and to take a moment to honor them, to honor the ancestors, including our own ancestors. Because all of us, if we go back far enough, we all have ancestors that were indigenous somewhere to someplace. So we're going to do an interesting little combination tonight of some ritual, some presentations, so you get a little inspiration from what some of our students are doing, and a little bit of strategy for where we go from here. So I'd like to begin. I know there's a lot of activism going on now, and that is a good thing, and there needs to be even more of it. So I want to do a little bit of a different grounding. Tonight, I want to teach you the activist grounding. Uh, so let's say you are in a situation where there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of confusion, there might be some fear. You might not know exactly what's happening, whether that's in the middle of a protest or whether that's just a bad morning on the playground in your kid's school. And you need to be grounded and you need to ground quickly, and you don't have time to do a half-hour meditation about it. What you can do is just take a deep breath. So let's do it now. Take a deep breath and feel your feet on the ground. And just doing that can be enough to bring you into a state where you can just step back a little bit, uh, where you can not panic, but instead can actually take in information and take in what's going on around you, where you can act consciously instead of reacting automatically. Let's try that again. Just take a deep breath and put your feet on the ground. And then take a moment and focus on your 5 physical senses, how your body feels, how you are dancing with gravity or perhaps just negotiating with gravity. How the air is moving in and out of your lungs. What you smell if you take a deep sniff in. I got my dog lying down next to me. My dog is smelling 30,000 times as much as I am. So try to imagine for a moment you had your dog's nose and you were getting that much more information from the world through smell and through taste. Open your ears, notice what you hear. Open your eyes, notice what you see. And again, just take that breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel that living connection to the earth. And now take one moment and think about something that you stand for. Something that's important to you, something you don't want to see harmed or violated, that's more important to you than your profit or your own personal benefit. As you think about that thing and think about standing strong for that thing, feel that earth connection deepen. And if you like, you can put into the chat something that you stand for. And blessed be. We're going to turn some of this opening over now to some of our other students and co-teachers. And kind of collectively create our sacred space. So I think that's you, Charles.
Kendall, do you want to also join? Me in this?
Oh, sure. I can hop in. Did not know that was my cue.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, yes. Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Kendall. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am currently living and growing in occupied Sunocomico. That's otherwise known as Hampton, Virginia. And I am a root worker, permaculture designer, urban farmer here in this land. I practice my ancestral practice of hoodoo and farming as a way of venerating the earth as an ancestor. That's the relationship that I've always had with earth. So from the hoodoo tradition, I wanted to share this offering with us with Earth Activist Training. So with the help of Charles and Starhawk and two of my cohort, we are going to call in the elements. I have set up an altar already. I'm going to turn my computer over. Do a little start. So in this lovely little bowl, have a green candle here, symbolizing earth. It is carved with a symbol called uh, Essayade. It means devotion to Mother Earth in the Akan language. And within the bowl, I have some soil from outside, an incense, and some butterfly leaves, some butterfly wings, excuse me, some fresh basil, some fresh rosemary, some oak tree leaves, just some things from the earth around me that I want to start to mix this soil together. And with the intention that we all set tonight, I'm going to grow some, start some new seeds with it all. So to start, I would like to cast the circle. So I would like for everyone to cup their hands together and begin to get some friction. Your hands back and forth. Start slow. After a while, speed it up a little bit. Give it some charge. And when you get your hands nice and warm, speak a little intention into them. Bring them to your mouth, speak an intention. And when you're done, bring it to your heart space. Take a couple deep breaths, breathe into it. And when you feel it's completely filled up your body, bring your hands out into the sides of your screen. Think of all of our intentions joining as our hands touch. And our circle is cast. And so to start with calling in the elements, I would like to call on Starhawk. Did we decide which one you guys are going to do?
Yeah, Charles gonna do the air and I'm gonna do fire.
Yes, and two of my cohort, Bear and Kahari, are going to do earth and water. All right. So to start, Starhawk, would you want to lead us off with fire?
All right. Take a breath and think about that element of fire, what fire does. Fire transforms. Fire takes something that has grown from the energy of the sun, like a piece of wood that comes from a tree, and releases that energy again. Fire is part of a cycle of transformation. Fire can destroy, but fire can also renew. Fire is often what we fear, but fire is also what we crave in the winter to warm ourselves and to warm our homes. The fire that lives within us, I think, is the fire of passion, the fire of courage, the fire of fierce love for the earth and for other human beings. So welcome, fire. Thank you, fire.
Charles.
And I'd like to invite Air to join us today. I live here in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people, which is also known as Nova Scotia. And to the east is where My tradition, we honor air, and it's where the sun rises over the ocean in the far east of North America, Turtle Island. So I just want to welcome air and just invite you all just take a deep breath in. Air that allows us to speak our truths, to speak our passions, and to call out for what we want for justice and peace. I want to invite air in. Also, the aspect of air that's relational, which is the exchange between us and the rest of the world, between plants that breathe out and we breathe in. And just to know that as we respire, we conspire with the universe. It's an important act of connection in a time when isolation seems to be part of what's going on. So I call that air for communication and connection, for clear thoughts and understanding as we come together tonight. Welcome, air.
Welcome here.
Welcome here. Kahari, you want to go for water?
Yes. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. So when I wrote this call in, it turned into a water prayer, so I would like to share that. As I call in water today, I want to take a moment to reflect on the qualities of water I believe we could greatly benefit during these times. The quality of water I'm referring to includes change and evolution, infinite possibilities, mystery, trust, and surrender. The water is full of infinite possibilities, just like the field of divine intelligence we all come from. Billions of years ago, before any life form walked the land, Mother Ocean held us and protected us when the Earth's surface was too harsh and hostile for us. She gave us the perfect conditions that we needed to evolve so we can take that next step forward. And when we left the water to explore the lands, we never truly left water. Water is always within us and around us. When you find yourself navigating this world and you feel like you're drowning, I pray water will remind you how to breathe underwater. Like a siren calling you home, I pray it reminds you of your true depth, your true self. May the water remind you that if you find yourself plunged into the darkest waters, fearful and unsure of what surrounds you and where to go from there, that you are protected, held, and supported in your evolution and life journey. You can close your eyes, breathe deeply, and surrender to the moment while you flow gracefully. Know that you're exactly where you're meant to be and uniquely qualified to expertly swim through your life journey. And if you find yourself in the desert, feeling overwhelmed, lost, and lacking, without a drop of water in sight, I pray water reminds you that no matter where you are or what you're going through, that within you is the oasis of your true self, and that water is always with you. I ask water to help us flow through life, guided by water's ancient wisdom and connected to the greater flow of time and space, so that we may create better worlds for ourselves in the present and for future generations. Please never underestimate the power of water, for it can create, heal, nourish, and also destroy realities. Bless the water and let the water bless you. I welcome in water.
Welcome, water.
Yeah, welcome water. Beautiful.
Thank you.
I would like to welcome in Earth in the north, the one who has the home of our ancestors and holds the roots of our history in her soil. I'm on the land of the Chimacum people, and my lineage is Celtic. And I was passed on the tradition of shepherding, and I'd like to call on these ancestors of shepherding to come in as they shepherd the earth and tend to the earth and protect the earth. And as I've been watching my sheep, they treat the earth with so much kindness as they create this reciprocal relationship that is grounded, aiding one another. And I pray that we all create this reciprocal relationship with Earth and we one day become ancestors that hold space for the next generation and become one with the soil again. And so I'd like to thank Earth. We love you and we welcome you.
Welcome, Earth. And finally, I would like to welcome Spirit. I would like to call in the great one being from which all things come and to which all things return. I would like to call in Spirit that connects us to the world around us, to the universe, to the divine, to the intelligence that has created all of us, and to the understanding that we are not just humans living on Earth, we are the Earth itself living and moving around and interacting with the world around us. Thank you, Spirit. Welcome, Spirit. And in the presence of the 5 elements, I call this working to begin. Our devotion to Earth has been witnessed, and may the spirits continue to guide us to protect the Earth around us. Thank you all.
Thank you, Kendall. Welcome, Spirit. It was beautiful. Thank you, everybody. Now, Evely Delfino Salas Posh, who's a wonderful, wonderful singer, songwriter, musician, has a song for us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome the elements, our elemental ancestors. And this is my brother Jedi, who is here also. Although I'm going to sing a song by Gordon Sumner that's called Fragile, Fragilidad. Our fragility also leads us to resilience and strength. So he wrote this for the first ever Amazon rainforest benefit. E você e o mundo também, e o mundo também. Choro eu e você. Que fragilidade, que fragilidade. Mañana ya la sangre nos dará al caer la lluvia, se la llevará a cerro mi piel, combinación tan cruel, pero algo en nuestras mentes quedará. Una poesía quedará con una vida y nada más. Nada se logra con violencia, ni se logrará. Que ha nacido en un mundo así, olviden su fragilidad. cielo también, y el cielo también. Lloras tú y lloro yo, qué fragilidad, qué fragilidad. Dororero amore, barorero, rero more, para pare, pero re more, re, One second while I turn on original sound. Sorry about that. If blood will flow when flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun, tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away, but something in our minds will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to clinch a lifetime's argument that nothing comes from violence and nothing ever could, for all those born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are. Sing with me. On and on the rain will fall. The rain will fall like tears from a star. Like tears from a star. On and on the rain will say. The rain will say how fragile we are. How fragile we are. On and on, the rain will fall. The rain will fall like tears from a star. Like tears from a star. On and on and on and on and on, the rain will say how fragile we are. How fragile we are, how fragile we are. How fragile we are, how fragile we are, how fragile.
Thank you, Everly. Wow, that was beautiful. And really, I really feel it this moment. Well, we are in quite a moment right now, and it's somewhat ironic that here we are on Earth Day, having a celebration, and yet I think all of us feel this sense of the threat that's looming there with the current regime wanting to undo all of the progress we have made toward dealing with climate change, threatening to take away the tax-exempt status of every organization that works on climate, just stuff that's really outrageous and unbelievable. And that's not even talking about all of the other atrocities that are going on that are impacting the lives of immigrants, that are impacting the lives of all of us, the health, the economic security. Um, so we don't want to spend our whole evening dwelling on all of that because we all know it, and there's plenty of places we can find out about that. What we want to try to do tonight is find the sources that we can find to have the courage that we know we're going to need to stand up and work for the earth, fight for the earth, protect the earth, and continue doing the work of regeneration. Earth activist training, that's the work we do. That's what we teach. We teach permaculture design, which is a system of regenerative approaches to taking care of the land, to ecological design that can meet our human needs while actually renewing the environment around us. And we not only believe, but we know from experience that we can create abundance and do it in a way that actually heals the earth. In fact, you can't really have abundance in any other way, um, because we all depend on the life support systems of the planet. And we know, we don't just believe, that diversity is an ecological value. It is diversity that generates resilience. When you have a more diverse community, you have a community that has within it more perspectives, more ways of looking at the world, more intelligence, more capacity, more talents. As we're fairness, it means fair distribution of things, and that there is no ecosystem on the earth where one tree grabs 90% of the nutrients of the whole forest. You know, an ecosystem flourishes when resources are shared and distributed fairly. And we know that inclusion is another one of our permaculture values. We say integrate rather than separate, that the more we can bring in and the more welcoming and inclusive we can be as a community, as a movement, the stronger we all are. So I want to lead us on a little bit of a guided journey right now to find some of those sources and prepare the ground for what we're going to need to do and plant some seeds, because it is spring. And so I invite you to take a breath, close your eyes for a moment. I'm going to drum and sing a chant some of you may know. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. Rising, rising, the earth is rising, turning. Turning, the tide is turning. So take a breath. As you breathe in, I'd like you to imagine you could smell that smell of moist, newly turned earth. Like when you go out into the garden in the springtime, and you begin to fork it over a little bit. You begin to plant some seedlings. You know, have you ever really just knelt down and stuck your face in the earth and just taken a deep sniff in? And that wonderful smell is the smell of life. It is the life forms in the earth that create that special fragrance. As you breathe, as you imagine kind of taking that in, basking in it, consider what you do when you start your garden in the spring. You want to prepare the soil. You want to say, what does this soil need to be a place where things can grow? A place of fertility, a place where things can thrive. So take a breath right now and just imagine, what if you were your own garden? Do you feel well nourished now? Do you have what you need to be the source of regeneration and fertility, of nurturing, of gestating new things, new ideas, new projects? Do you have the nutrients, the water, the minerals? And maybe for your garden, there are things like calcium or kelp meal. But for you, what are they? What do you need to be able to be your best possible self right now at this most crucial time? This time when we are all called to step up and perhaps be more than we had planned to be, more than we'd really bargained for, to show more courage, more creativity, more strength. Just take a breath. As you breathe in and breathe out, know that it is okay to ask the universe for those things that you need to be fertile ground, to be living soil. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. Rising, rising, the earth is rising, turning, turning, the tide is turning. And as you breathe in and breathe out, as you feel that soil alive and teeming with life, consider what seeds you want to plant this spring. Imagine you could hold them in your hand. Think about the sacredness, the magic of those seeds. Within that tiny little packet are all the instructions to grow. Maybe a beautiful flower, maybe ripe tomatoes for your salad, maybe raspberries on a living bush, maybe a vine that will be heavy with grapes, maybe a great tree. But But take a breath and just consider this moment. When so much around us is being destroyed, when there's so much hatred, what it means to plant the seeds of something that you love, something that can bring abundance to those that you love. And to all those who are interconnected, because we are all connected in that great web of life. And imagine what it feels like to push that seed into fertile soil, to cover it over, to plant it, and to wait. All sleeping seeds she wakens, the rainbow is her token. Now winter's power is taken, in love all chains are broken. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. Take a breath and know that this is a time where we need to stand up and protect the earth, where we need to do everything we can to stop the destruction. But it's also a time when we need to plant the seeds of what we want to grow, of what we want to come. A world that is rooted in justice and liberty for all, that we so want to create. And that means sometimes we have to put those seeds in the ground and bury them and trust and wait. You can't go digging them up and looking at them and trying to monitor their growth, or you'll kill them. But if you have some patience and some faith, then those seeds underneath that ground can push down their roots and push out their sprouts and begin to grow. So take a moment now, firm that earth around your seeds. Know that you can ask for what you need to be that fertile soil, to be that human hand that creates and that heals, and to plant that seed of change. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. Take a breath now. Breathe yourself back into this space. Take a moment, open your eyes. Feel the edges of your body. Say your name out loud. Starhawk. And get ready to hear some stories about things that people are doing and things that we can do. And to help us make that transition, Everly, do you have a song for us?
Yes, ma'am, I certainly do. Thank you.
I thought you might.
And I did give the lyrics to the ASL interpreter. Did you get it, Jan? This one is it's also Al caer la lluvia, as the rain is falling. Starts in Spanish and then goes into English.
And we'll also put the lyrics in the chat.
Oh, really? That's good. Beautiful. Al caer la lluvia, resurge con vedor. Toda la floresta renueva la creación. Mira el rojo lirio, el duende ya brotó. Bella primavera que anuncia su fulgor. Todo flor silvestre, la maya el cunde amor. Todo manifiesta la gloria de la diosa. Como se te alaba en toda la creación. Yo quisiera hacerlo en forma igual diosa. When at last the rain falls, our world turns living green. Little flowers blossom, the air is warm and clean. See the glorious lily, its radiant blooms display. May I just as boldly praise Goddess my own way. All the little flowers and tender curling ferns manifest their glory, praise to Goddess returns. Sing all of creation, accord your creatrix praises. I will also offer to you my songs in thanks, O Goddess. All the pretty songbirds rejoice and sing your praise. Warbled tunes exquisite through sunny springtime days. Nightingales and tree frogs sing praises when it grows dark. Only sees at daybreak, and then we hear the lark. All the little flowers and tender curling ferns manifest their glory, praise to Goddess returns. Como se te alaba en toda la creación. Yo quisiera hacerlo en forma igual diosa. Sing all of creation, accord your creatrix praises. I will also offer to you my songs in God, thanks, O Goddess. I will also offer to you my songs in thanks, O Goddess.
Thank you, Everly. Thank you so much. So now we're going to get a chance to ground the magic and get a little of the practical inspiration of hearing some of the wonderful work that our students do. This is benefit for Earth Activist Training for our Diversity Scholarship Funds. We've been offering diversity scholarships for more than 10 years now, and as a way of helping to actually increase the diversity of the permaculture movement and bring some of these skills and tools of regeneration to those who are on the front lines of environmental justice struggles. And we've had some amazing students doing incredible work. And one of them is here tonight to talk about what she's been doing. So I'd like to introduce you to Lakota McRoberts, who's from Alaska, who's doing work up there with many villages around food security.
Hello, everyone. I tried to share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. So my name is Dakota McRoberts, and I took the permaculture course January and last year. And now I am the agriculturist and food bank manager at the Copper River Native Association. And kind of how I'm using my permaculture certification is I created a community garden, but also I am Atna Athabaskan from the Atna region. So this red area right there is where I'm located. And here's some pretty pictures of where I'm from. Our population is about 522 people in Glen Allen, but the surrounding villages kind of make it up to be about 3,000 or so. So food sovereignty is something I focus on and how I use my permaculture certification. And what food sovereignty means to me is the right for people to have healthy and cultural appropriate food produced through ecological, sound, and sustainable methods. And here's where I work. And then the overview is kind of where you see the car parked is where we're creating our food forest. And there's about 300 acres of land there from the car straight down to the Copper River, which we're kind of changing and slowly trying to create that food forest. And here are some pictures from my production last year. All the food that goes through the food forest goes back to the food bank and back to the villages, and we feed about 250 individuals and like 148 families. So here's some more pictures of our raised beds and food that we were able to give to our community members. A lot of different kinds of plants. That's Ash. I would say the dog is Ash. He's kind of our mascot for the garden. We also use the community garden as a learning opportunity. So we've hosted many berry workshops, identifying different kinds of medicinal plants, teaching the youth, like basically just letting them come down, showing them how to plant and harvest food. So trying to reconnect that youth back to their culture, something we don't have a lot of access to living in Alaska. We don't have a very high growing season, and it's just that like it's around, but we don't really, it's something the villages have lost touch with. So we're trying to kind of bring that back and make it exciting. Here is some more food we were able to produce and serve out. Some more youth helping kind of plant the garden beds last summer. We were also able to host a pickling class with a couple of the elders. So we had the elders come and we harvested from the garden, and then we were able to pickle and preserve a lot of the vegetables. And we taught the youth how to do that. We also did a jamming class around this time as well. So trying to use it as a big educational moment for and generational reconnection. So connecting the elders back with the youth so that the youth find it exciting to talk to their elders again, hearing some stories. We were able to take the youth out to a farm where they can kind of see a different source of growing, and they were able to harvest potatoes for us to plant. And then this is our fish wheel, so another source of food and a source of compost for us is salmon. We use this, that's a fish wheel, and what it does is it has baskets that go into the river, and it scoops up the salmon and then drops them into that wooden box right out there. So you walk out on those planks and you can go get the salmon out of the box and then kind of preserve it. And we usually will can it, we'll smoke it, we'll dehydrate it, we'll freeze it. And this is a high source of meat for us in the winter besides moose or caribou. And that's another thing that we preserve. So we're also using this land. The fish wheel is located on the garden property. We're using it as another teaching source to kind of show the youth a sustainable way of creating food for themselves. Here's how we smoke the salmon. We hang it up in like a hut and kind of smoke it. This is a mass production. And a lot of the salmon that we do, we preserve and give to the elders, the ones who are no longer able to do this for themselves, which is something that is cultural appropriate for the Ahtna Athabascans, because one thing we were taught is that we're supposed, as our elders get older, we're supposed to come into that role where we provide and take care of them as they're no longer able to do it for themselves. This is the food bank where I work out of and where a lot of the food is stored and kind of passed out. We serve 6 different villages. I was also able to, because of my permaculture certification and the work I was doing, I was able to join the Intertribal Agriculture as an internship, which gave me hands-on experience in indigenous agriculture. They allowed me learning opportunities to work with more indigenous youth and kind of spread out the word of permaculture. So permaculture is kind of a new word in agriculture right now, and a lot of people I meet and talk to are like, "Oh, what's permaculture? You know, where did it come from?" And I'm like, "Well, it's basically just a definition for what indigenous people have been doing for years. It's just a way of growing food, kind of working with nature instead of against it." And so I get to share the knowledge I learned with the Eat Earth organization through other organizations like the Intertribal Agriculture. I was also able to do a Braveheart Fellowship where they allowed me the opportunity to study indigenous medicine. They bought me a distillery so I could start making my own essential oils. We're going to host an ethnobotany workshop June 10th, which is a dual credit course for youth, allowing them to get a credit in college or high school. And we have 15 indigenous kids from the different villages that are going to take this course. So it's really exciting that just because of one permaculture certification, I was able to get in contact with other organizations and continue my learning and knowledge so that I can share it with other people in my area, but not just other people in my area, but other indigenous people that are looking to go into agriculture, but just not sure what they want to do or how they could do it. So if there's any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'm very thankful for Starhawk and Charles for this opportunity, and I'm excited that we're celebrating Earth Day. It's something that should be always done. Thank you all.
Thank you, Lakota. And if people have questions, we don't have a lot of time for that, but you could put them in the chat. And maybe we'll have time for 1 or 2. Ariel, you want to unmute? You're muted.
Unmute. I would like to maybe write an article about this project. And so I'd like to have contact information.
Sure.
To-
Lakota, can you put your information in the chat?
Yeah, sure. I'll
Lakota.
drop my information in the chat for
Okay.
everyone.
Yeah, I'd like to
Great.
follow up with you.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, Lakota is definitely one of our stars. I'm just, so amazed by her and all that she's doing um, at her young age. And just, she has just so much sense and so much presence and so much passion. And that's one of the reasons why it's important for us to do these fundraisers and to try to raise money that we can use to provide scholarships. We're also putting out an open offer right now for any fired federal workers who want to take one of our online courses that they can take it at a pay what you want basis, because we feel like it's really important to share these skills, and then people like Lakota take them and learn them and take them places we could never have imagined. That's part, I guess, of what we might call our theory of change or our strategy for changing the world. But tonight we want to talk a little bit more about strategy and organizing. So I invited one of the most amazing organizers I know, who's also my dear friend, Lisa Fithian, to come on and talk with us. Lisa also has taken the Earth Activist training and is a fantastic permaculture thinker and planner when she ever has time to do anything except organize. So, Lisa, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Star. And I know I've been invited to talk about strategy, but I wanted to just again acknowledge, which I think we all had a reaction to, like everything Lakota just said. Like Lakota just laid out a vision of ways of being in the world and living that are actually going to be essential for this time. And so maybe I just was like, oh, there a lot of it is. But I was invited tonight to talk a little bit about strategy. And in this really perverse Orwellian time and Earth Day, when we have a president that wants to shut down all the national parks and deforest them and mine them and open up fishing, it's like, I don't, it's what world are we in? And so, power is a word we talk a lot about in community, especially in the magical communities, because we understand that everything is about power. And power is really nothing more than the ability to act. And we know there's different kinds. We've learned, Star is one of my teachers on this, the power over, which is the power of the dominant culture. Power within, which is that we all have power to change the world. Power with, which is the collective, which is actually the most important thing we need right now. And then power under, all the ways we say we can't do something when in fact we can, we're not willing to. So strategy typically is like the plan to win, the plan to get from here to there. And sometimes I think, plan to win, what are we winning right now? I mean, we are in a time unlike in my lifetime, but it's not the first time we've had such an extreme, I don't even know what to call it, extreme world. And I think a lot about the fact that many of us have spent our lives working to change the systems that we live in. But in fact, right now, they are being destroyed. And we have to understand that we're not about saving what was. It's beyond that. It's about what will we rebuild from the ruins. And we have to understand that what we had didn't work. So what do we have to do different to get someplace else in the future? I was introduced to the concept of Sankofa, which is from the country of Ghana. It's a practice of going back and bringing forward. And I think right now in particular, this is a very important process for us. So I spent a lot of time thinking and learning lately about how did indigenous people resist colonization? And if any of you have ways that you want to add into the chat of ways that people have resisted, how indigenous people resisted colonization. How did enslaved people resist slavery? How did our movements resist Jim Crow and segregation? How did women resist patriarchy and the misogyny and win the right to vote? How did workers resist the exploitation of the bosses? How did queer people resist the homophobic culture that we live in? We can look back through history of all of these movements and see many similar tactics and strategies that were used, from boycotts and strikes to alliances to picketing to protests to legal actions to defying orders to sitting down strikes to we have a playbook from the resistance movements in this country. So we always want to go back and learn our history to come forward. So much of the time when we think about strategy, that plan to win, historically we have worked in the context of like campaigns and organizing issues or getting a policy, changing this, tweaking that. We might go through a process of looking at what are the strengths and weaknesses, what are the threats and opportunities. But I really believe we are in a time beyond a lot of that. I'm not actually sure we're in an era of just creating new policies or accommodating. I actually do believe we are entering into a regime change era. It's taken a matter of months for them to wipe out so many of the basic protections we've had for a long time, and the institutions and the safeguards wiped out. All the people looking at this that are studying these rises of autocracy talk about there's that initial wipeout, but then there's 6 to 12 months of can they consolidate? So we need to understand as a people that love the earth, that care for one another, who believe that wokeness is nothing more, as Jane Fonda said, caring for others. How do we work to ensure that they cannot consolidate? I sometimes think about this moment as if we're in a disaster, and we know disasters are not just natural. When we look at what happened in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, where the whole state came down, and the systems that we expected to help it come back just continued the oppression. But we saw the communities come together, and whenever there's a disaster, there's the same pattern of people coming together, rising together, caring for one another together, rebuilding together. And that is, I think, one of our most fundamental things, because that is the awe of what we can bring to counter the horror of what we are facing. So again, when we think about these things that we're trying to change and how are we different in this time, some of the most, one of the processes is understanding that, and it's really the foundation of all of our nonviolent direct action work, is that if we understand that the ways these things continue are because we cooperate, that things can change when we non-cooperate. So the language today and so much of the work around facing what we're facing, which is a fascist takeover, an authoritarian coup, whatever language you want to choose, is non-compliance. How do we not go along? How do we delay what they're doing? How do we interrupt what they're doing? How do we slow down what they're doing? How do we sabotage what they're doing in every way we can? And this requires each and every one of us to take a few minutes to think about what is the power that I have, where I am located in my world. And then how do I take my power and add it to my neighbor or my coworker or my friends? Because this is, while we each have individual power and we each exercise that with every choice we make, it is the collective power that is going to save us right now. And that's because we've been raised to think that individual power is the way to go, but that's just a white supremacist orientation to the world. And so again, when I think about change right now, and especially on Earth Day, I go back to a lot of what I was learning through this complexity science. How does change happen in the natural world? How does it happen organically? And some of the pieces of that is understanding that when we live in a world of disconnection, our work and our strategies are to build our connections, our interconnections. When we live in a linear world, that's what we've been trained to think. We have to remember that it's cyclical, the world that we live in. And things come back around again, and we can learn each time as we come forward into another round. We've been taught to be in silos and to separate by issues or race or gender, when in fact, when we bring us all together and cross the lines of divide, amazing things can emerge. We often think of things as breaking down into the parts when we really need to understand that what happens is greater than the sum of our parts. Moving from analysis, again, breaking down to synthesizing, and from isolation to relationships. All of these ways that we've been socialized to function in this capitalistic, patriarchal, homophobic society, we need to flip because that didn't work. And more so than ever, we have to raise solidarity. We cannot sell each other out. I mean, racism, all the isms are the roots of what we are facing, this autocratic takeover. And so we have got to change that. If you think about the suffragist movement, if you go back and learn our history, the white women sold out the black women so that they could get the right to vote. Y'all, we can't do that again. So to sort of move towards wrapping up, when we think about this next period, living in disaster, how do we build the web of relationships? We're seeing the resistance rising right now. And yes, we're putting our bodies out in the streets. We need to continue. We need to grow it. We need to move beyond mobilizing to organizing. Let's bring our flyers. Let's bring our outreach tools. Remember the old days we stood on the street corners in our soapboxes, or we hold banners outside of freeways or banners off of bridges. Ringing bells. I've been thinking more and more about the bells, calling in freedom as we walk through the streets, going on our subways, on the buses. We need to talk to people. We need to shake people up. We need to be agitational because our survival, our strategy is not just winning. Our strategy is to survive and to thrive and to transform what was to what can be. This is a long-term strategy as well. We have to move quickly. But so mobilizing, taking public space, using our money wisely, canceling all of those accounts with Amazon, all the people that are funding this, the best we can, use our money wisely, economic power, strikes, boycotts, all of those things. Let's do it. Throw in big on that. We need to reclaim civic life. Are you going to have a picnic in your neighborhood now or a block party? How do we start bringing people back out together? Because in the era of social media separation, we've lost the fabric of our humanity and our community. Let's reweave that together. All of this together. And finally, it's like a lot of people call this a period of democratic backsliding. Well, as soon as democracy became representative and funded by and infiltrated by the corporations, we know it hasn't been working. So let's take democracy, the ability to make decisions about things that affect our lives, back into our daily practice and again, our community, and using democracy, because democracy requires a practice. Without it, it doesn't work. So how do we come together, practicing, making decisions together, understanding each other's needs, sharing the resources that exist, because there's an abundance when we share, there's scarcity when we don't. So we can transform that world. I think we saw through COVID the power of mutual aid. Mutual aid is going to be a pathway to our future as well, because as the systems crumble, the economy crumbles, we don't know. And I want to say that I come into all of this work with a tremendous humility because we have no idea. And I've so often said to myself, is there anything we've done in the past that applies now? And I think as we're moving through the shock and awe and the destabilizing efforts, we are refinding our footing and our ground. And we are learning to stand strongly and tall in our dignified way about we have a right to freedom and we have a right to the things in our Constitution, the political rights. And I hope that in the new world that we build from the ruins, we have not just the political rights, but the human rights we need and access to education and healthcare and food and water. Star, I'm going to bring in, may we never hunger, may we never thirst, may there always be a seat at the table. When we make sure that no one is hungry and nobody's thirsty and we can all come together at the table in care and joy and love and celebration and all the beauty that we saw in Lakota slides of the abundance of the earth, turning back to nature to re-nourish us. I mean, that's really what we need to do right now in terms of a strategy to win. Take care of ourselves, take care of each other, use our resources wisely, act with creativity and courage, bring joy, because the horror is too much. So let's bring out our bells, ring them together, join together, link up, form those lines of resistance. Remember all the ways, even in contemporary Trump one, the Muslim bans, the taking over the airports, the actions to separate. There's so much we can do. The most important thing is that we do something and we do it together with others. And I think on that note, I'll bring this to an end and hopefully go find your people, know how to link up with them, know where you're going to connect, and let's be kind and generous with one another. And maybe we'll get through this. Hold the vision, hold the vision. And the magical imagination will set us free. Thank you.
And on that note, I do have a song with a bell. This is based on, well, it's going to be in the chat. Open your eyes, the wheel is turning. We will rise in sparks of flames ever burning, beacon of hope to light the way. Open your arms, the wheel is turning. We will rise in a new day. Sparks of flames ever burning, beacon of peace to light the way. Open your heart, the wheel is turning. We will rise in a new day. Sparks of flames ever burning, beacon of peace to light the way. Open your heart, the wheel is turning. We will rise in a new day. Sparks of flames ever burning, beacon of love to light the way. Open your mind, the wheel is turning. We will rise in a new day. Sparks of flames ever burning, beacon of change to light the way. Open yourself, the wheel is turning. We will rise in a new day. Sparks of flames ever burning, beacon of joy to light the way. Open yourself, the wheel is turning. We will rise in a new day. Sparks of flames ever burning, beacon of joy to light the way. Open your sight, the wheel is turning. We will rise in a new day. Sparks of flames ever burning, beacon of strength to light the way. Open your hands, the wheel is turning. We will rise in a new day. Sparks of flames ever burning, beacon of grace to light the way. Open your soul, the wheel is turning. We will rise in a new day. Sparks of flames ever burning, beacon of hope to light the way.
Well, thank you, Everly.
Thank you.
That is beautiful. And maybe take a breath right now and think about that garden that we're each planting and that soil and the seeds that you've planted. And now imagine that garden is part of a much larger garden. A garden we're all creating together. As you take a breath, as you feel what you need, also let yourself just be aware of what you uniquely have to offer. Think about the gifts that you uniquely have. And let yourself believe that we were born for this moment, that we are here because somehow the universe knew that your unique gifts were going to be needed right at this time. So how can you offer them? What do you stand for? And how can you stand together with others and bring those gifts together? Are there things you can invite your neighbors to do, your friends to do? Are there communities you're part of that you can help to strengthen or to extend? And let's take a breath and let's just breathe out a sound together that we can send out for the protection and the healing of the earth. Rising, rising, the earth is rising, turning, turning, the tide is turning. Oh. And take a breath, take in what you need for what you're going to be doing, and give some back to the earth by touching the ground, touching something that's touching the ground. And blessed be. I've put into the chat a link to one piece of organizing that Earth Activist Training has been part of, which is a solidarity statement that's been put out by the sort of the justice wing of the permaculture movement. And I invite you all to take a look at it at some time. And if you feel moved to sign on, you are invited and welcome to sign on to that. We felt it was important to have a voice from permaculture to say specifically why some of the values that we hold of justice, of equity, of inclusion, of diversity are vital and are important and are worth fighting for. Well, we're almost at the end of our time, so I want to turn this over back to Kendall to close out our ritual.
Yes, thank you so much, Starhawk. And thank you to all the speakers and everyone who contributed to make this event happen. Thank you to Earth Activist Training. Thank you, Starhawk. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, the entire administrative team. Thank you to the ASL interpreters who've been helping us out today. And thank you to all of you. Thank you to the spirit that brought us all together, that brought us to permaculture. And from that spirit that we continue to do our work. Thank you to our elemental ancestors, air, fire, earth, water, and spirit. Our circle is open but unbroken. And go with the blessing of Mother Earth, and may your regenerative powers remain strong. Amen, Ashe, and peace to you all.
And thank you, Kendall. That was so beautiful. And it's really so wonderful to be able to weave together some of these different traditions and cultural traditions and create something unique out of them. Thank you. And thank you to all of you. We invite you to check out our earthactiviststraining.org website. We've got lots of incredible courses coming up. It's also a place where you can donate. And like we said, we really deeply appreciate the donations for tonight, and any donations you want to give help us to create more opportunities for diversity and to share and spread this knowledge to some of the communities that are really on the front lines of struggle. And I think Charles put into the chat, I have a Substack where I've been doing a lot of writing about movement building, and a podcast called The Movement We Need. You can find it at starhawk.substack.com. And the podcast you can find just about anywhere they have podcasts. It's called The Movement We Need. And we've got some great courses coming up, and we'd love to see some of you in them. So, thank you, Charles, and thank you to our whole Earth Activist Training team. Special thank you to Elizabeth, who creates all our beautiful graphics. And thank you again to Lisa and Lakota and Kendall and Evely for contributing so much to this. Evely, do you want to play us out with a little She Changes?
Well, actually, I was thinking of Joni Mitchell's Big Yellow Taxi. How's that?
Oh, how about that? Yeah.
All right. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone?
Yeah.
Everybody sing along though, even though your mic is off. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Hey farmer, farmer, hey farmer, farmer, put away that DDT. taxi took away my older man. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Peace, everybody. Be well, be safe, be protected. Ground yourselves and get to action.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Everly. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day and take care.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Happy Earth Day.
Happy
Much
Earth Day.
love.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
You pave that parking lot.
Patricia,
and
good
put
to
up a
see you.
garden.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.